Hey there, it's Chris again, Spooky Chris, with Spooky Chris's Cavern of Creepy Creep. I don't know, whatever the crap I called it. It's a weird alliterative name that I can't even remember what's called. Spooky Chris's podcast. Hi. I didn't expect to be back, but I figured you never know. Maybe one or two people out there will listen to like 15 minutes of another idiot rambling, because that's what I offer you, my friends. Ramblings of an idiot. It occurred to me today, it was funny, I was reading a friend's post about the loss of physical media, and it's funny because I remember, I'm old enough to remember dinosaurs, but I remember when, as a kid we had the Burger Wars and, the Cola Wars, and then the format wars and the home video wars. And it's funny because it's just like the 80s and early 90s was full of just these arbitrary oddball made up wars, because you can't get enough war in the world, I guess. But it's interesting because we're on the precipice where the wars are going to be are suddenly being called for the side of the industry and not the fans. Unfortunately, I remember when I was a kid. Again, I'm old enough that I grew up in the heyday of VCRs. I remember when my folks got a VCR and like the first trips to the video store were amazing. I remember waiting, like you could put your name in. So they have a list of movies coming out, and you can put your name in to reserve a movie. And when they would call you, like, oh hey, blah blah, Mr. and Mrs. Ringler, the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is in. If you'd like to come pick it up, that was so awesome. And like throwing down and getting pizza, watching a movie. I remember one of the first movies we ever rented. I think we got a VCR, and you got free birthday rentals, and we got it. And one of the first movies we rented was Something Wicked This Way Comes, which I just adore, and which it still sticks to me. It was one of those rare movies where I watched over and over again back then as a kid when we rented it. And I just remember how special it was to go and get movies, and what a big fun deal, very stressful deal. And this isn't a kind of a rant about, oh no, things moved on, because that's the way it happens. There are kids today that may feel that way about Redbox, where they go to Redbox like, oh my gosh, what can I do? What can I rent? What movie? What game? So it's just, whatever kind of, wherever in the time spectrum you fall is kind of what you're connected to. But that era meant a lot to me. And I remember, I met my friend Jack, who introduced me to the idea of bootlegs and uncut movies and Asian films and Italian movies. Like this, suddenly this whole new world opened. I was into horror, and I was for sure into gore, but I never imagined that there was this whole world of movies out there, just waiting to be discovered. I didn't know. And going to comic convention to convention and buying bootlegs of Ricky O and uncut Argento and Fulci films, and just like it was just a great time. But it's funny to say that, and then honestly, it's a better time now in most ways, because I can go online and I can buy a pristine version of those movies with extras, with like looking better than they did when they came out at theaters, with comprehensive extras that kind of explain, the making of the film, like the ideas behind it. Like there's so much for, like, if you are a film fan, especially a genre film fan, like this is, a golden age. But unfortunately, the golden age seems to be kind of creeping to a close. Again, I remember I got, my friend Jack had a Laserdisc player, and I was just, my mind boggled. My first thing I wanted to buy was Christine on Laserdisc, because I wanted to see it widescreen. I was obsessed with widescreen. And my obsession with Carpenter hasn't gone away, but like I needed to see like the way it was meant to be seen, and I wanted the extras, and I wanted all that stuff. And it's great because, again, we have all that stuff now, and it's readily available, and it's much less money. I bought the Criterion Halloween Laserdisc set. It's like $100. I bought it with birthday money when it had come out. Bought it at a mall store. So, I mean, it's, we're a world apart. And it's been great, again, because, and then get DVD, and DVD is better looking than Laserdisc, and then, it's Blu-ray and blah, 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 blah. But we're at an awkward spot where, with Samsung stopping production of 4K and Blu-ray players, you're going to start seeing, I feel like that's a big step towards ending physical media. In that, we're going to start seeing companies scaling back their production, and it's, for a moment, it was great. It was, Netflix came out, and even Amazon Prime, and it's like, wow, I have my collection, but then there's other stuff, new stuff, other things that I can watch and sample and rent, and I love renting movies, because I can't go to a video store. There's still a few out here, but I mean, it's easier just to spend the money at home, and that's the shame on me, because I'm part of the death of the industry I love. But it's just easier for me to rent it real quick and just watch it. But with so many digital streaming services opening, all of this content, once upon a time Netflix would have Disney movies, Marvel, Star Wars, and they're all under one tent now, but, Warner Brothers, like TV shows, they have all this stuff. But now everybody wants to have their own streaming network because they want, their piece of the pie. They feel like they weren't getting enough money. I mean, that's not for me to figure out. But what it does is it hurts the fan, because it's more and more streaming services we have to decide whether or not we have money for. And it's not like any of us are making more money suddenly. And the problem with that is that the push to go digital, one, takes away kind of your full ownership. Because, yeah, you quote-unquote own it, and you can put it on a server or something. But what if there's in the code somewhere? I don't remember, if people remember, they had a Circuit City, the old store, Circuit City, which is kind of Best Buy-esque, essentially. They tried to push a product that this company had where it was basically you'd buy a DVD, and it had an expiration. And basically, you could watch it X amount of times, and then the DVD would kind of self-destruct. Not really, but kind of dissolve. It's also true. But basically, it'd be you couldn't use it anymore. So that was a weird idea, and it still is, and just the notion that was a thing was just, it weirded people out. And we're kind of getting toward that again, where you don't have full ownership. And I mean, if you buy it, you buy it. It's yours. It's in your house. But if you buy it digitally, what if they put a code in there that after X amount of things, they, it's like, oh, well, you bought use of this. Your use is up. They probably won't. It's paranoia. But what if they did? They could. We don't know. You're seeing now with where if you kept your movies in an online vault, you're seeing that, those vaults are closing because, companies don't last forever. So what happens then? These movies, well, you can transfer them to another service. Yeah, but again, you can only transfer to so many services until there's just no more services. It's weird. It's a weird thing. It's a weird, where ownership is kind of, it's a kind of ethereal thing that we don't have. And again, that's why, you want to have the physical media. And we're the old guys and, out there, we're like, oh, no, I don't want this new stuff. And I mean, digital would be great. I think it'd be neat to have a Plex server to have all of your movies. And you could just like your own home Netflix. I think that's awesome. But it's, again, weird because I had, once upon a time, I was transferring CDs, I was making them digital so I could have them on a hard drive. I owned the physical CDs, I was just making digital copies, and I knocked the thing over, and all of it got erased. And that's the thing, is the memory services and stuff, everything has a life expectancy. I mean, so do discs. But I just don't like the idea that an accident or someone else can decide I don't own it anymore. And the thing, too, goes into the idea that, we're in an era where if you're a fan, like, you really want to know the ins and outs of these movies. You want to know how it was made, the extra scenes, the behind the scenes. You want to know all that stuff. You want to hear from the filmmakers. And they're starting to kind of pare that back in some ways. You're not seeing as much for a minute that we had, like, that was like a big thing, like, because they want to sell product. Well, now it's like, well, shoot, we'll just sell the digital version. Who the heck cares? As we move to digital, we're going to lose that stuff. Like, not completely, because they may kind of throw a bone, but, like, really, it's going to be upselling. It's going to be like they do on video games. It's like, cool, you like the video? Awesome. It's X amount of price. Cool, you want a new outfit? Oh, that's an extra price. Oh, you want another outfit? You want another level? You want another this? And it's going to be the same thing. It's like, oh, you want a commentary? $2. You want behind-the-scenes footage? Oh, that's $1. Do you want deleted scenes? That's $3. I mean, so this movie that you spent, $12 on is going to suddenly rise in price as they add more features. And it's just weird. It's weird to think that. Like, instead of, and it, again, like, it still, may end up being less than the $25 you spent on Blu-ray. But I don't like the idea that we could soon kind of have to have several services to get our movies. Like, and if you look at the services, it's not as if you can go and say, like, oh, I want to watch Benny and June or Harold and Maude or whatever, couple movie. If one of the streaming services doesn't have it, what are you going to do? And if you don't own it, like, you have to buy it. Like, there is so much stuff. It's kind of like with when you look at when records, when we went to 8-tracks and tapes and CDs, like, there's so many records, so many performers, so much art lost. And you're seeing it with, from the VHS era to the DVD era, in DVD to Blu-ray. There's just so much stuff, and it's rights issues, it's interest issues, it's costs. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be lost as we lose the physical media, and it's weird and scary to think, movies that we loved, that we grew up with, if we can't find them streaming or can't kind of buy them digitally, and maybe all that stuff will appear digitally because it'll be easier because they don't actually have to physically produce something. Maybe there's a light at the end of the road, and maybe they'll sell it for a couple bucks. But it worries me again because I wonder if they'll put the work in to remaster old films, to dig up archive stuff, to put together old movies that, like, even newer movies that were butchered in some way, if they'll put the work in to make them something special. And the physical era of media is ending. Like, look at music. People just don't buy CDs much anymore. So it's going to be weird, and it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. And my hope is that the industry leaders, you still have, Synapse, Arrow, Blue Underground, Scream Factory. They have these kind of standard bearers for the genre, Criterion, they're holding the day. But it really does worry me that a day's going to come when we don't have access to all the movies we used to have and all this stuff. And same thing with music. And maybe we won't care. That's the thing, is a lot of this stuff disappears and we just don't notice. So maybe did we care anyways? But maybe we did care, and we just have so much kind of going on, we just didn't realize it until it was gone. It's hard to say. I definitely don't look towards that day with fondness. But for now, I know I'm still a Blu-ray buyer and lover of physical media, and I guess I always will be. Especially as a guy who writes books that don't necessarily translate well to ebooks. Ugh. But so there you go. Have a good whatever you're doing. Bye.